I mean, some days in the madhouse, I would be high on drugs. I would smoke meth, and I would drink an entire fucking handle of vodka, or like an entire, like, six pack of Voodoo Ranger, or an entire bottle of wine and shit, and I would just get wasted and smoke meth in the goddamn drug rehab, and the madhouse, just to prove that I could smoke meth and get drunk in the fucking madhouse if I wanted to. They didn't tell us what to do or when we had to be in. They just gave us 3 square meals a day and told us that we had to be in by by like 9 p.m. at night. And we was and I didn't really go anywhere because I had a man gunning for me. I had a man out there trying to kill me. It was insane. He used to drive by where I used to live. It was insane. And I constantly had to keep one eye looking over my shoulder. It's going to get harder and harder as you get older. And I just got more and more depressed to the point where I was like, oh God, I might attempt suicide for a second time. Because I'm just like, it's only going to get harder. I saw that there was white growing in my beard, and I would cry bitterly about that. I'd be like, oh my God, I am 32 years old. I'm 40 something now, but I was 32 years old, and I got I was 32. Well, no, I was 28 when it started. I was 28 when it started, right? 28, right? It's weird because all of my friends went bald when they were like 28, but I'm not plagued with that problem for some reason, right? Because I'm not actually a real human being. I think it'll be another 20 years before I even get a bald spot because I'm not really a normal human being. I don't develop the same way. It's fucking crazy, but it is true. Any of my friends or any of my teachers or anybody else that's ever met me would agree. I am not like almost anybody else. It's actually really crazy, and my mentality is nuts. And because I'm 16 years old and my mindset, I literally don't get wrinkles. But what I did get when I was so overly stressed because of my meth addiction and all the police and all the problems coming after me, when I was 28, I got this crazy shock of white in my beard that struck across from down on the left side all the way downwards. I got a shock of white in my beard. And my beard was black because I have like brown black hair, just like my hair right here. See it? Like that hair, that color. My beard was this color, but I had a shock of white coming through my goddamn beard when I was like 27. That's young. I'm talking like you've only been able to drink for 6 years or something like that. That's young, legally. And I got this shock of white through my fucking beard, and I realized what it was, and it took me 5 years to address it or something. And it was that I had seen so much stress in my young 25-year-old life that I literally had caused my fucking beard to grow white when I was like still in my 20s. And now that might not seem crazy to you, but it was crazy to fucking me. It was crazy to me. I was like 28 years old, and I wake up one morning, and I had been under so much stress for so long and so lost for so long. And I remember when it was. It was, it was just crazy. And I woke up and I looked in the mirror, and I had a shock of white, like Harry Potter in his scars, something like that. I had a shock of white running down the left side of my chin from the top to the bottom, where I had just overstressed myself so fucking much that I had given myself white hair at the age of 20 fucking 6. 26. And that's the best metaphor that I know how to tell you what my life was like. It was a lot like this guy's talking about, Anno or whatever. My life is a lot like that. I look at every person that I talk to as some sort of key to unlock Pandora. I consider every politician some kind of stepping stone to some sort of win. I consider every company responsible to the people that they charge money from, and all these weird, crazy things that just don't work in the real world. I actually am a golden fool, which means that I will buy whatever I believe in at a higher price than everybody else in the market just because I believe in it. I assign a value to drugs that is greater than life sometimes. Like, I value a pound of methamphetamine as something around like 2.5 human lives. And that's crazy, but I do. Because it's just that, I mean, it's worth so much to so many people that they'll do stuff like put up, like, It's just crazy, and I look at it like that. I'm like, oh my god, and it's not like I've ever had a pound of methamphetamine. I've not, but I still value it like that because I know what people will do for it. They will do favors for me. They will sleep with me. They will break the law for me. They will take charges for me. They will do crazy, crazy things. And so I constantly, I just look. And I just look for, you gotta strike when the moment is right without thinking. And I look for some opportunity that will pay the bills or get me drugs or get me women or get me something. Right then and there, where I don't have to fucking go work for it. I don't have to fucking stress myself with a boss. I don't have to go be around humans, and I don't have to listen to them when they tell me to do something because I have opposition authority. I don't like their government. I don't like their rules. I don't like their anti-drug policy. I don't like their anti-selling sex policy. I don't like anything that the government does. Not a single thing. I don't like that the people revere it so much. I don't like that the people follow them when they tell them what to do. I don't like, I think it should honestly be this weird thing, because this is how it is everywhere else in human existence, right? I think you should be able to just push the envelope but get frowned on for everything but murder and rape, Just push the envelope and get frowned on by everybody in your community, and nobody deals with you and you get blackballed. But honestly, that's what normally happens when somebody breaks the law or takes advantage or does something to get rich or something like that. Usually it's ignored. Believe it or not, it's just full-blown ignored. And after a while, you can work on points for style, and you like the club tie and the firm handshake and all that, if you want. But really, nothing that the humans made is very valuable, except for the drugs and the women. There's nothing that the humans have ever done is very valuable except drugs and women. Maybe alcohol, gambling, good food, and structure, right? There's like 6 things that humans do that I can stand that I think are good. The rest of it runs the gamut of bad that I just don't even want to care about, And it's really weird. It's like a really weird place to be where you relate to your worst enemy that you can possibly think of. You relate to Satan. You have no limits, no problem. No family, no love, no governments, nothing to believe in, no home. You have like nothing. You have no home.
Taking him seriously, so he needs to do another bomb or two until they take him seriously. Before long, he'd discovered a logical error in the electrical switching circuits of the bomb he'd built. Oh, okay, of course the bomb never went off, so they'd just discovered it. An error that prevented buzzed with activity, refining his gadgets and strategies, seeking the flaw that had derailed his previous plan. It seems to me the flaw is that they're not taking him seriously, so he needs to do another bomb or two until they take him seriously. Before long, he'd discovered a logical error in the electrical switching circuits of the bomb he'd built. Oh, okay, of course the bomb never went off, so they'd just discovered it. An error that prevented detonation. Although the details of the issue were quite fascinating from an engineering standpoint, my kill drive and editor emphatically advised me to leave out the details. Editor's note: I'm probably on a list just for downloading your original manuscripts.
Most of you are on the list.
Yeah. Don't go too much into
bomb-making
instructions. It's even probably saying bomb-making instructions. It's probably not a good thing to say. Now we're all on lists, Dennis. Undeterred, Arno set to work on a new bomb, an improved version. The process moved swiftly this time, as he had learned from his previous trials and errors. He also devised a simpler method for the money transfer, one that didn't involve diving into murky waters or constructing elaborate machinery. He aimed for efficiency, something less complicated, but no less clever.
Yep, I think about this all the time. I'm like, I could play cat and mouse games with the cops, and I'm so good I would never get caught. I am Heat good. I'm like the guy. I'm like goddamn Robert De Niro in Heat. I could build the crew. I could rob banks. I could, I'm good like this. I'm actually good. I could build a crew. I could rob banks. I could do it with 4 people. I could keep the wives out of it. I could literally put so much money in so many people's pockets, but nobody ever really did work with me. Nobody would ever really back me. They thought every idea I ever had was far too crazy. Nobody really wanted to just sort of go have fun. And I did. The people that did want to do, I took with me, and if they wouldn't, then oh well. But like I would say that, yeah, I pretty much am a criminal. something broke in my brain where I look at it like if I can take opportunity, if I can take opportunity and take advantage of somebody, then I will. Like when I found out that my best friend showed me something. She was like, if you tell restaurants and Uber Eats and Grubhub that the food is cold and that it's the wrong order, and that the driver already took off, and that it's the wrong order, they just front you the $43 meal. And so we took advantage of this to the tune of, I don't know, 50 grand, something like that. And I don't feel bad. It's goddamn Uber Eats. They make so much money. I don't care. And I have eaten something like 1,500 meals that were free from Uber Eats. And I stopped doing all of these things. I just stopped doing bad things. I was like, you know what? I don't need to anymore. The government seems to think that I'm so crazy and fucked up, and my record's so crazy and fucked up, and my accountant's is so crazy and fucked up, and my fucking job is so crazy and fucked up, and my past and my PTSD and what the government did to me is crazy. I think sometimes they feel guilty that they fucked me so bad. And it's just kind of crazy. And so, and even the government thought that I needed help. It was insane. It was the government's idea.
Was ready to strike again. Disguised as a...
And so I think of myself as this crazy despot that doesn't want to harm anybody. I just look for some opportunity all the time. It's like being a chaotic, neutral person that just wanders into town in Dungeons and Dragons, and you're poking around looking for opportunities that might take you to something greater all the time. Every day, every month, every year, every single day, I look for some opportunity that might take me to something greater, and I depress myself deeper the further I go, realizing that everything and everyone and every dollar and every opportunity has been ruined by humans. Every last one. Unless you want to go to jail or get excommunicated from your family, pretty much anything that you can do beyond opportunistic stuff in the ghetto, which is what I ended up doing for a long time. Opportunistic stuff in the ghetto, and then in the fucking barrio. I lived in the barrio for 7 years, and I just did optimistic stuff to get by. And I just, I don't know, but I know that now I don't value anything. I don't care about their money. I don't care about their leadership. I don't care about their jobs. I don't care about their retirement. This is particularly because they're paying me, they're paying me it's not unemployment, it's disability. They're paying me disability, and they know that I have attempted to commit suicide in the last 20 years. They know all the stuff. They know what my record is. They know what my bank accounts were like. They know how many times I had to pay insufficient fees. These people, when I deal with housing and urban development, when I try to look for a fucking house, so I'm not some deadbeat crazy person on the fucking streets. They ask me these crazy fucking questions like, what's your bank account like, right? And it's depressing. You would think it would be funny because we all know that I'm broke, right? But when these people look at my bank account and they realize that 20 years have gone by and maybe 13 years of that I was employed, and the total of it was maybe 200 grand or something, and they can see this on their government file. They can see that the total amount of money I've made in my life is like 290,000 or something like that. And they're like, they laugh. They laugh deep down inside. They're like, oh my God, this weird white guy has had a worse life than most of the people that we deal with, but he's a genius, and he's not afraid, and he doesn't care, and he doesn't value anything at all, and he loves us, and he'll fight for us, but he's not some fucking dude. He's not some normie. He's not the average guy that walks in the store. Every single last one of them has this response. And I'll talk to them like this, some of them. I'll be like, yeah, I'll talk to you about my life if you need me to. Father used to beat the shit out of me, and then when he stopped, he disappeared. Mother was a OCD like person who lost her sanity twice and her company and lived in poverty for half my life. And then there's my family that's communicated us, my friends that disappeared, and the fact that I lived on the streets for 7 years. And you get the idea. 7 years a slave, basically. 7 years it was. And you get the idea that I just don't have the connection. I don't have the connection to the people. I don't have the connection to the family. I don't have the connection to anything at all. And if I do something, it's by myself. And my family helps me. My family does help me. That's incredibly exclusionary. My mother has always stood by me and has always been there every second of my life. Always been there within a phone call's reach my entire life to help me with whatever problem I had, because she knows like my best friends do, that there's no one else. There's no one else.
Sales representative. He slipped.
And that sucks, you know? It sucks. It's like being an orphan. I would say it's basically like being an orphan. It's definitely being a bastard. I think the word that they used to use for people like me is bastard. It's not that you're a rude, mean bastard or something like that. Bastard can mean that you're ugly and mean. But what it really means is you don't have a father, you don't have a connection, you don't have an identity, you don't have a house to go back to when something bad happens. You have family that's there, but they're not there every single day. And you don't really have connection in America to any racial identity, any sexual identity, anything at all except drugs. That's it. Drugs, that's it. The only identity that I have is based in drugs. And all of my life, every single person I ever met, every single fucking family member, every single fucking bandmate, every friend, everybody, all of them told me to quit drugs immediately. All of them. And I kept telling them, no. I don't have anything. I don't have anything to look forward to. I don't have land. I don't have a home. I don't have a wife. I was fat for all of it, so I didn't really have, like, I was not really mating very much. I was, but I wasn't. I was like, you know, it was just weird, and I didn't really have love or connection at all. And when you have nothing at all, you do whatever. You do whatever. You drink a bottle of wine after pounding 10 shots of vodka, like I just did. And I tell you the story. I'm on 10 shots of vodka and a bottle of wine. It's empty. See it? Bottle of wine. It's here in my hand. I'm on 10 shots of vodka and a bottle of wine, and I will wax intellectual with you about how I have nothing, no hope, no family, nothing, no future, complete. I mean, I have family, but it's one person, and I forget them all the time because when you have just one person, you think you just downplay them as nothing at all. And then my mother hates me because of this. I guarantee she does. She has problems talking to me because she knows that I don't really value anything at all. I don't value money. I don't value food like she does. I don't value sex. I don't value like the government. I don't value like a job or anything at all. I don't care about losing this job or blocking the chat or getting banned off YouTube. I don't care about that because it means that I care about something, and I don't. I'll tell you right now, I don't. It fucking sucks. I don't. You know, I do not care. I don't care about losing a base in Rust. I don't care about people stalking me. I don't care about fucking like any of that stuff, you know? Because it's just, you know, hey, you guys got in a long conga line of fuck Skycat in the ass for 33 years. You got in a long conga line of fuck Skycat in the ass. And that's literally how I view it. And you're not my friends. You're not my family. You're not my government. I don't love you because you don't love me. When I do drugs and I try to get by after the pittance, after the pittance that I was left, or the, you know, the hope that I'm left after after just burning on the streets for 10 years. I'm just like, yeah, I don't care what I do. I don't care if I rob a bank. I care about robbing or raping people. I care about harming people, but I don't care beyond it. You understand? I don't care what happens to them. I don't care if I walk out of a room that's burning and that's some dude's house that I know, I don't care if the house is burning. Do you understand? I think that's actually a pretty good analogy to describe who I actually am. If I were to walk out of my best friend's ashram and see it on fire, I would put out the fire because I love my best friend and I would take care of him, you know? I would put out the fire. But I don't care. You understand? I don't care if the house burns. I'm happy that I have a connection that leads me to valuing if the house burns down or not because it's my best friend and I love him to death and I don't wish to ever see him harmed or anything like that, right? But I don't care if the house burns. I really don't. I don't care what happens to their family. I don't care what happens to the country. I don't care what happens to me. And I'm not trying to list these things to make points and try to prove something that isn't true or something like that. I say this out of despair. Because when nothing has value and everybody is left and nothing matters and everything rotten is here and everything good is over there where I can't reach it, I just don't care. I don't care what happens to my family. I don't care what happens to my best friends. I don't care what happens to my stream. I don't care about losing hits or money or anything like that. I don't care about about eating or sleeping or having a schedule. I just don't care. I don't care, said Pierre. I don't care. And if people around me ask me for structure, I give it to them. And I'm like, oh, you want structure from me? Okay, here you go. Sure, yeah, I'll go to the doctor. I'll take a job. I'll help you out. I'll do the garden. I'll come and I'll come and I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you in your old age. I'll love the woman that was the love of my life until the day that I die of old age. I'll never be with her because that would imply that something good happens. I don't believe that anything good ever does happen. And I mean this. And it's an existential crisis that lasts for 30 years, something like that, when you fundamentally believe that nothing good ever happens. I fundamentally believe that. Nothing good ever happens. Nothing ever. We build up and we build things like food and water and shelter, like the survival games, and we build something out of nothing and make, $1 out of 15 cents. But that's about it. That's about all we really do. Beyond that, we don't really have any control over anything. And I am not a nihilist. I'm not saying that everything is nothing. I'm saying that I don't care. I don't care if I get hurt. I don't care if they torture me or toss me in a jail cell. I don't care if they vote somebody in or not. I don't care what the president is. I don't care what women think about me. I don't care what men think about me. I don't care what gamers think about me. I don't care if somebody subs to my channel. I don't care if people pay me. You understand? That's like a soul sickness. And it's not a bad thing. It's not deep depression. It is just the broken wiring that is my brain. And so I can sit here, I get angry when something distracts me or doesn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I have dreams and aspirations, and I want to write albums, and I want to be president, and I want to do all these other fucking crazy things. But I can tell you that this society did not engender a desire in me to succeed. I'm going to write that down, This society did not engender in me a desire to succeed at all. I think everybody else is so blessed that they're able to do it, honestly. Because, I look at this and I'm like, I don't know, man. I view it as impossible to succeed at anything. I wrote it down. I made note of it. I put it in the file, you know. I thought about it. Oh, I get to buy. Oh, no, I don't. I have to wait. So I'm going to go back to this dude, but, like, trust me, this lost criminal that people wrote books about, I think this dude's a noob. I think he's a noob. I think the guy that he's talking about is a noob. I think the author covering him is a noob. I literally do. I think they're noobs. I don't think they know who Michael Myers is. You know? Somebody who just doesn't fucking value anything or anyone. I don't think they know. I think that their own desire to live their life has tainted their outlook of it. If they had dealt with a life like I dealt with, they would understand that there's nothing to strive for.
Slipped into the Mall of the West, clutching a grey briefcase with explosive contents. He knew the mall detectives would be on high alert, and he couldn't rule out the possibility of undercover police officers lurking between the customers. His heart raced as he made his way to the sports department, feigning interest in various items to blend in with the crowd. When he was certain that he had not aroused suspicion, Arno placed the briefcase on the floor, triggering a small switch on the underside. A concealed flap sprung open, releasing the pipe bomb, which silently rolled under a nearby shelf in a matter of milliseconds. With sweat beading on his brow, Arno picked up the empty briefcase and made his escape as if nothing had happened. That night, alcohol was once again the only solace that could lull him to sleep. Yet around midnight, a distant bang jolted him from his slumber. Panic surged through him, his synapses firing wildly as he wondered if the noise was real.
He blew up a department store. And honestly, I would do that. I would do that. I don't give a flying fuck about that. I think it's funny. You know, they used to put it in Hollywood movies, like, for instance, Batman Returns. There's a hilarious scene where Catwoman blows up a department store. And trust me, that's probably from this. That's probably from this. When people think of what's really crazy and sick, they think of the dude who blew up the department store with a pipe bomb, right? And that's where we got Catwoman blowing up a department store with a pipe bomb inside of a microwave.
Real or merely a figment of his imagination. But as
you know, and that's where we get this stuff, because sooner or later you just get twisted and you do something really fucked up. For me, it was just essentially killing my identity. Like, my real name didn't exist anymore and hasn't for a long time. I've not used my real name for a long, long time now, like 9 years or something like that. I've just not used my real name. People knew my real name, but they knew the nickname. They don't like my name. Even my name is kind of a construct. That's fucked up to be that fake, but I mean, that's actually what it was. I mean, I'm not a liar. I'm somebody who's been persecuted all of their fucking life, to the point where I'm happy if anything good happens at all.
it turns out, the bomb...
At all. You know, I'm sorry, I'm very drunk and I'm very hungry. I'm gonna make a sandwich real quick. I'll be right back, guys. I'm sorry. you see it? Do you see how I actually am a drink person? I'm good at it. 10 shots and half a bottle of wine, well, 3/4 of a bottle of wine, and I'm totally fine. I'll wax intellectual with you, and I'll make a sandwich, and I'll talk about philosophical stuff like what it's like to have no hope, you know?
Had indeed worked this time. The explosion decimated the sports section in an instant, the resulting pillar of smoke triggering the mall's sprinkler system. Goods on every floor were drenched, damaged, or destroyed, with a total cost of destruction reaching 250,000 German marks, more than double what Arno had initially demanded. Fortunately, no one was injured, the store areas having been completely deserted just as he had predicted. May 25th, 1988 marked the day of Arno's first successful bombing, the inaugural act in a series of 6 that would follow. Arno couldn't believe that he had literally blown up Germany's largest department store. It felt unreal and vastly different from what he had imagined. The preparation phase had been filled with excitement and a sense of success, but now that he saw the aftermath on the news channel, he felt like Arno's neurological impairment, already a heavy burden, now seemed to weigh him down even more. His steps faltered, and his overstimulated nerves screamed for relief, driving him to numb the pain with high-proof alcohol. His conscience demanded him to surrender at the nearest police station immediately. His logical intelligence told him to go ahead with his plan, and the darkness of his soul enticed him to obtain a new gun. To regain control of his thoughts, he chose to resume regular work for a couple of days without doing anything regarding his crime. Yet despite his best efforts, he could not restrain himself from following the investigation closely. To his relief, however, there seemed to be hardly any progress, meaning that Arno soon felt sufficiently bold to arrange the second money handover operation. Similar to the previous attempt, he transmitted the instructions via autonomous receiver, which he had in a treetop. He declared June the 2nd as the date for the next phase, which gave him more than a month for further preparations. He had shelved the idea of underwater cable winches because in retrospect he found the unpredictable nature of such a scheme to be unworkable. But what was the proper solution? He wasn't sure yet. Inspiration struck during a walk along the railroad tracks near the auto repair shop where he worked.
Yep, that's what I do. I walk along the railroad tracks. This dude is so much like me. It sucks, but not the bomber, like killer, like psycho part of it. I'm not like that. But I am lost, and I don't really value anything, and I'll do anything. Does that make sense? I am lost. I don't value anything in the world, and I will do anything if it's fun. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right. How about dropping the money from a movie?
And that's not a good place to be when you're just essentially just a hand grenade that never stops exploding or whatever. You're just
train. The attentive listener may recall 4 years later, following the second bombing, Arno would also resort to this method. However, in 1988, his plan was simpler, even a little half-baked. I feel like just having someone on board just throw it out the window. Just be like, okay, I'm going to radio you. You're going to be traveling on this train, officer, with this bag of money. And at some point, I'm going to phone you or radio you or something. I'm going to send a signal. And you're going to have to throw the bag out of the window at that point. And that's where I am. And by the time you scramble police there, I'm already going to be gone. That seems quite simple. Maybe it's a little bit half-baked. But that's kind of the sort of thing I'd think of, just a bag of money thrown out of a window. One could perhaps imagine that Arno had used his remaining preparation time to conjure up a brand new invention from his sleeve. Maybe a small crane, a robot, a remote control helicopter, or the like. But this hadn't been the case. Instead, Arno had simply instructed the police to board the rear wagon of a designated train and prepare themselves to hurl a fortune out of the window upon his commands. Exactly. Though rudimentary in comparison to his masterful, fully automated dropping mechanism of 1992, the essence of his cunning remained intact. With the investigators in the dark about the precise location of the drop, they were unable to strategically position their troops along the sprawling route. Of course, it was entirely possible that the cops would jump out of the moving train and chase after him, but he prevented that pitfall by choosing a fast section of the route. Yeah, jumping off a train? Trains traveled much slower back in the day, because that... I remember a mate of mine came into school one day when we were like, must have been 18, it was the last year of school. And he was
jumped off a
bruised
train.
And battered.
Yep.
And I'm like,
what'd you do?
And it was
I jumped off a train.
Me and this other guy, we got drunk last night, and then we almost missed our station. The train was pulling away, and so we just jumped out.
The train was moving quite fast. They fell onto the platform, rolled over, and got all cut and bruised. And it's like, oh, dude. The morning sun cast a golden glow across Arno's bedroom as the shrill sound of an alarm clock roused him from restless attempts at falling asleep. A good day to die, he mused to himself, feeling the weight.
A good day to die. A good day to die is like is every single day for me. When I think of When I think of being done with all of this, I get really happy. A good day to die is today. I would be okay if I went to bed and I choked to death in my sleep because I have sleep paralysis, or not sleep paralysis, but what is it? It's sleep apnea, and I stop breathing when I'm sleeping. I'd be okay if I went like that. It'd be good. It'd be a good thing.
Of sleep deprivation and the after effects of alcohol and spray.
It doesn't matter if I have a love in my life or whatever it is. I'm never really happy unless I'm chasing something, like getting high or something like that. I'm never really happy.
Pains lingering in his foggy mind.
It's like a shark. You never stop swimming.
He reached into the depths of his drawer, retrieving
Or you drown.
His portable transceiver and a gleaming new handgun that promised either fortune or doom. With a hint of uncertainty, he mounted his bicycle and swayed his way to work. Throughout his shift, Arno did his best to maintain the facade of normalcy. He shooed away any doubts about his intention like a swarm of flies, and at any given opportunity, reached for the drawer concealing his vodka stash. Like a prisoner awaiting the executioner's axe, Arno's heart pounded relentlessly in his chest as he pretended to focus on the work in front of him. As all the cars were shining in fresh paint, Heinz was calling it a day. Arno declared with some half-hearted excuse that he had to stay a little longer. Sitting alone in the workshop, he proceeded to drain his hidden reserves of alcohol, his eyes darting between the radio and the pistol that lay menacingly before.
Yep, like alcohol and drugs
Your
aren't...
inventory is full.
Alcohol and drugs aren't anything to people like us. Like nothing at all. Oh, look, I got Fernand's diaries. How did I get that? Oh yeah, where I was fighting. I don't want that. Okay, go.
For him. The minutes ticked away, each one.
Yeah, like death isn't something that I fear. I know that it's gonna happen when I'm 101 or 105 or something like that. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that I will be tortured here. I'm sure that mankind will see to it that I will be tortured here until I'm at least 100 years old. I've tried to get off the coils so many times. It's actually fucking crazy. I don't want to be here, but something wants me here. It's so annoying. Something wants me here. Like God or whatever you believe in. I don't believe in anything. Something wants me here.
Bringing him closer to the precipice of fate.
It's fucked up, but it's true.
In less than an hour.
When you understand that I downed 110 naproxens, which is a muscle relaxants, and 85 Tylenol PMs, and it was like 210 fucking pills or something like that, and I lived just fine, doing great. And I knew. The next day I woke up and I was like, oh, I puke blood all over the basement of my house, and they're taking me away in an ambulance, and I'm fucked up and I'm dead. But I'm alive, and I can't get away from this terrible fucking place. And it just keeps on going. It just, the government keeps sucking, and the women keep fucking disappearing, and the love keeps dying, and the fucking friends disappear, and the people, and they all know. They know. They know what's wrong with me. It's not depression. It's this understanding that I'm not here for the same reasons that you're here. I'm not here to be happy all my life or to take care of my own interests all of my life. I really don't care about loot or interests or money or any of those things. I was just here to have some fun. You guys aren't very fun. I was just here to have some fun. You guys aren't very fun. Your government isn't fun. Your lives aren't fun. How we live isn't fun. How expensive everything isn't fun. How you hated on drugs, that wasn't fun. You put me in jail for drugs, that wasn't fun. Like, I'm just here for fun. You guys aren't fun. You constantly talk about stupid stick in the mud bullshit that I just don't fucking care about all the time. And you guys aren't fun. You're just not. I'm not talking about like my chat. I love my chat. I'm talking about like the average normal. It's just not fun. They're just not fun to be around. It's hard. I struggle sometimes.
Now Arno would need to be drowning in wealth and
I I live this reality where I hope that maybe I'll get in some stranger's car in a couple of days and that person offers me drugs, you know? That is the greatest thing that could happen to me. Is I get in some stranger's car and they offer me drugs. That's like literally the greatest thing that could ever happen to me right now today. It won't, because you guys aren't any fun. The government and the life and the people that you built fucking suck dick. You ever been a party god? Like, actually, like a party god? Like, when you show up, the party starts? You ever been like that? I have, for a long time. And you guys killed the party. You're not fun. Your bullshit about taxes, and your bullshit about jobs, and your bullshit about poverty, and your bullshit about fucking homelessness, and your bullshit about drugs, and your bullshit about lying, and your bullshit about politics, and your bullshit about tribalism. You're just not fun. You're not fun. I would say it's not very fun to be here, you know?
Happiness, or he would find...
I understand Hunter. Hunter S. Thompson was definitely going through the same exact thing. You guys just are not fun. So yeah, give me some speed, some coke, some crack, some heroin, some fucking, you know, some alcohol, some tobacco, some marijuana, some PCP, some methamphetamine, and some fucking, you know, and some, some shrooms. And we're fine, you know? Give me some drugs so I can pretend that you don't exist. 'Cause you're not fun. The human race is not fun. You're not fun to be around. The American government isn't fun. I have to track it all the time and tell it how bad it is all the time. You know, you guys aren't fun. You're just not fun. The food that you cook isn't fun. You know, it just sucks. Like, you're just not very fun. I hate to say it. You guys are sticks in the mud, and I just really struggle trying to be around you. You talk about, oh, it must be Great Depression. They say it must be great. It must be that person is depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm saying you're depressed. You're not fun. You judge me for drugs. You judge me for fucking thinking differently. You're just not fun. You're not fun people to be around. I think you're godless and Jesusless now, because even you're so not fun that even God and Jesus left you. I think that's how little fun you are. That I think you literally killed baby Jesus. I really feel this way. Humanity is so not fun that they literally kill baby Jesus with their fucking bullshit. And their, like, inequities and their problems and their fighting each other and their unhappiness and their depression and all that. I think you literally killed little baby Jesus that way. And I think you're killing me too. You guys aren't fun. I think you crucified Jesus because you're not fun. I think the humans crucified Jesus because you're not fun. You need to tell the world and tell God that you're just not fun people to be around. Your systems, your drug shame, your slut shame, your judgments, your fucking problems, your poverty, your randomness, just all of it. You're just not fun.
Himself face to face with his maker. Both options would bring an end.
That's why I don't care about my chat. That's why I don't have any friends. That's why I don't care what happens. You're just not fun, you know? You're just not fun.
To his misery, he thought. But if that was the case...
It sucks. I don't say it like to be all bummer, like Eeyore, like, oh, woe is me, everybody's not fun. I just actually use this as fuel to sort of like try and change things, you know? I try to stir up the blood a little bit and let people know that no, you thought everything was going to be fine. No, it's not fine. You're not fun. You're not fun to be around, you know?
Then why was he still...
It's not going to be fine.
Filled with doubts.
This is why there's so much divorce. Is because honestly, most rich white men, or even middle class white men, are just not fun to be around.
Convinced himself of having no second thoughts, because that would be absurd at this point. The gears were already in motion. 8:30 p.m. Another automated transmitter, hidden in yet another public place, triggers.
Automated transmitter in a public place is so sick.
The tape informs the police of the exact railroad connection Arno had chosen for the coup. He had settled on the track section, where he and Hines had wandered along every now and then, barely a few hundred meters down the hill. I feel like that's a mistake.
That's a mistake.
Don't do it so close to your work.
Yep.
Don't do it somewhere you know.
Don't
You've
shit
got
where
to
you
choose
eat.
something at random.
Don't shit
8:55
where
p.m.
you eat.
The train departs with policemen and bag of money on board. Arno empties the bottle and sets off to collect his grand prize. 9 o'clock. Arno kneels down in the wild growth along the railway tracks and waits, one finger hovering over the send button of his radio, one finger tickling the trigger of the pistol. He had intended to calm his nerves with the vodka, but instead the mixture of ethanol, adrenaline, and sleep deprivation made him tremble and shake. Fortunately, he did not have a dizziness attack, which was roughly a 50-50 gamble at this point. 9:05 p.m. As the headlights of the train come into sight, Arno brings the radio to his mouth and speaks loud and clearly. "This is the extortionist. Throw the money out now."
This is the extortionist.
Throw the money out now.
This is the extortionist. Throw the money out now.
But nothing happens. The train passed his hiding spot at full speed, throwing a gust of draft in his face and vanishing into the sunset in a heartbeat. The clatter of the carriages quickly ebbed away, leaving Arno in a situation he had not calculated in advance.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We're America. We're not so weak as that. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't give terrorists money. Did you guys know that? Kidnapped people, the family members of kidnapped people will hand money to extortionists, but the American government will not pay extortionists. That means that the American government is giving the money that they rob from the public away. And we can't have that.
He hastily stumbled onto the tracks to confirm that he had not missed the money drop, and once he was certain of this, a wave of panic took hold. Without thinking, Arno stormed off in a random direction, jumping across fences and bushes, crisscrossing between alleys as if he were shaking off a...
Yep, that's what I would do too. Random is good. You just suddenly don't have a plan, so you just go whoa, 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 shoo, 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 whoa, 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 shush, 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 random, hide.
Pursuer. The money no longer mattered to him, and neither did his other exit strategy. He just wanted...
Nope, the money doesn't matter. The people don't matter. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Nothing matters, right? Like Elliot Smith, nothing matters. Nothing matters. Nothing ever matters.
To escape by any means necessary.
Yep. And I need to escape mankind. I need to escape mankind at any cost necessary.
Arno ran until his muscles ignited in torment, and his veins surged with burning acid as his lungs were about to disintegrate from sheer exhaustion, and every nerve in his body begged him to stop. His foot then got caught in a chain-link fence. He immediately lost balance and, lacking the strength to catch the fall, crashed hard onto the asphalt floor. He tried to roll sideways, but that was a disastrous mistake, as the old adage about not running with scissors in your hands also applies to pistols. A deafening shot went off, shattering the silence and hurling Arno's adrenaline through the sky.
Oh my god, he misfired the weapon.
Movements froze, shell-shocked.
This is what always happens to arch villains, is they always fuck up horribly.
Confused, disorientated, but he would snap back to reality eventually. There was no red stain on his clothes or skin. The bullet must have missed him miraculously. Jesus Christ. You don't have the safety on? Arno picked himself up and sucked in air as if he hadn't breathed for minutes. The world around him was spinning, thanks only in part to the vodka. But now that he had a chance to think for a moment, it occurred to him that he had made an even more serious blunder. The dumbest blunder imaginable. The passing vehicle had been a freight train, but he was expecting a passenger train. He had got the timing wrong. Oh no. Dude. Checking his wristwatch, Arno realized that he could barely make it back to the tracks in time. With sweat flowing like rivers and a vision blurred from pain, he resisted the urge to punch himself in the face for being such a fool. He turned 180 degrees and continued to run. He was using a short-range transmitter, meaning that the policeman on the correct train, still miles away at the time, had not received his previous message. In conclusion, the universe had granted him another attempt. With legs made from pudding, Arno collapsed behind the same buckthorn bush he had used as a hiding spot the first time. Dangerously fatigued, sloshed to the gills, and in clinical shock, he had set a new high score regarding his loss of control. Yes, I think this is a rule of the Catch a Criminalist, isn't it? Don't get drunk before doing your crimes. I think this one, don't get drunk before disposing of a
Yep, don't get drunk before disposing of a body.
But also applies don't get drunk before doing your crimes. The gunshot had likely prompted residents to call the police to the area, which diminished his prospects of success even further. It could hardly have gone any worse. He hadn't even brought a second bullet, which thwarted yet another option for him. There was only one way left. Forwards. From the direction of the sunset, he could hear the rattling and squeaking of metal. Even though it was slightly delayed, this had to be the correct train. Contrary to stereotypes about German punctuality, our train network is actually one of the worst in Europe up to this date. Delays are rather the norm than an exception here, so this caused no alarm for Arno. On the contrary, he was grateful for the extra minutes. German trains are the worst. UK trains are terrible. This is the extortionist. Throw the money out.
German trains are the worst.
Now, throw the money out now. He spoke into the radio again. With his gaze fixed on the approaching locomotive, he realized the push-to-talk button. He released the push-to-talk button and waited. His anticipation simmered like a tightly coiled spring. But again, nothing happened. Out of desperation, he relayed his radio message a second time, and as he was still speaking, the unthinkable happened. A small white dot seemed to draw a parabola across the sky, plummeting into the railway bed, straight in front of his eyes. At first, Arno was convinced that his befuddled mind was playing just another trick on him. There was no way it actually followed his instructions, he thought. Not in a billion years. Yet the sudden squeezing of the train brakes betrayed that this was truly happening. Thinking quickly, Arno understood that an army of policemen was about to pour out of the train carriage and flood the surrounding area. So as now or never, the braking distance would push the train several hundred meters.
These arch villains, they're like so stupid. The minute that something happens, they just run. They just full blown run. They do like five months of prep, and they bribe all these people, and they do all these crazy things like buy a fucking rope pulley system underneath the water of the lake and stuff like that. And then when some fucking weird flatfoot shows, they immediately bail on $500,000 worth of work or something like that.
Is down the track, giving him...
I've never really understood that. If you're gonna be there, fucking finish it.
A slight head start in this race. Yeah, okay, wow, they got it to just stop the entire train. That kind of makes sense. I didn't think about that. They'd just be like, okay, stop the train, and then we're all gonna... But a train takes a long time to stop because the train's real big. Could you have done this, like, I don't know, throw it into a canyon or something? Like a big... or a river? That sort of thing? And then it'd be like the train would be on a bridge or something. That seems like it would avoid that problem. He stumbled towards the package as fast as the last threads of energy allowed him. His wobbly steps danced on the treacherous ground as he fought for balance, a clumsy tango toward his destination. But when he had made it, he knew his life was about to change forever. Stacks upon stacks of money bills sealed in translucent foil. With the package firmly tucked under his arm, he bolted from the scene. His chest heaved, his lungs burned with the ferocity of 1,000 suns. The pain swept into his bones like poison. But a primal, desperate urge propelled him onward. As he reached populated territory, he forced himself to slow his steps, which is great, because I can't think of an even stronger metaphor conveying intense exhaustion. Arno's plan was to slip back into the workshop and hide the money among the junk and clutter until the hunt had died down. The area was surrounded by countless middle...
Yep, and you wait 15 months, something like that. Okay, so you've stolen a lot of money, which is something that I've done many times in my life. Unfortunately. But I've stolen a bunch of money a bunch of times. You know? It's unfortunate, but it's true. Vodka. Kidding. But, yeah, like, I have stolen a bunch of money a bunch of times in my life. And the smartest thing to do is to wait 15 months.
Class homes, gardens, and small businesses. It would take the police months to search for more, leaving him plenty of time to smuggle the
because if you don't, they'll figure out where you got that money from.
Cash into his apartment at the first convenient opportunity. The floor in the...
Do not sleep with the cash. Don't ever do that. Do not have the cash in the same house as you.
The strategy reared its head when he ran into some men toiling away at the nearby petrol station. He knew them superficially, as they had been in work-related contact before. Arno mustered a feeble wave from afar, silently praying they wouldn't detect his glowing red face or catch sight of the bundles of money by his side. Arno suppressed his fight-or-flight instincts and proceeded at a leisurely pace, donning the guise of an ordinary evening stroll. And thus, he arrived at the workshop, a sanctuary for his cherished wealth. He locked the door from the inside and sank to the floor, where he lay down on a pillow of money. He did it.
Man, I think about this all the time. I'm like, I could do that one score that makes you like $1 million. But I'm not in this for money. I think the minute that you're doing it for money, you're gonna get caught. I really feel this. If you are doing it for money to get ahead so you don't have to pay for something, or you can take care of people or brag or get a wife or something like that, you're gonna get caught. Greed is never a good reason to do crime.
He actually did it. Arno was the owner of an immense fortune, waiting to be exchanged for happiness. He glanced around the dark shed as if fireworks were about to erupt in his honor. 500,000 marks, he reminded himself. It was all his. He couldn't even begin to imagine all of the joy he would be feeling soon. I mean, very soon, any minute now. Hours passed, and nobody knocked on the door.
Joy.
To all appearances, there wasn't much activity outside the door at all. As the inky blackness of night had fully convinced him of his successful evasion, he straightened up and stuffed the money snugly behind a bunch of cardboard boxes and empty vodka bottles. What now, he wondered. His gaze roamed again, as if waiting for something to suddenly change. The workshop, though.
Nope, it won't change. All that money, you being successful, all of it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It doesn't matter what you do. The world is a shithole. The people that are living in it fucking suck. Until that changes, there's nothing will be fun. Nothing's fun. You guys aren't fun. You're just not fun to be around.
Remained dark and lonely.
It doesn't matter what it is.
The not-so-great Gatsby.
Oh no, he goes back after his old wife or whatever.
The forthcoming days unfolded as an unyielding saga of suspense. In every spare second, Arno would perch on the edge of his armchair, spellbound by the television's flickering screen, soaking up the news like a parched sponge. He remained on high alert, poised to react at a moment's notice in case the authorities reported on any breakthroughs. Yet, the more he heard, the more he realized that the police were grasping at straws, their investigation floundering. The incident dominated the news coverage for days, which was no surprise given the sensationalist nature of the crime. But instead of closing in on his identity, the responsible investigators were stunningly...
I've always thought it might be really fun to play cat and mouse with the fucking idiots, because they actually are idiots. I feel like I could outsmart them 10 times, something.
About being completely stuck. One news anchor called it an embarrassment for all involved, before rhetorically questioning the investigators' abilities to even handle the case. The print media echoed this narrative. As inconsequential news of the fruitless manhunt continued to rule the headlines, Arno became increasingly emboldened. Soon he felt sufficiently confident to stop monitoring the media 24 hours a day and return to his time-honored routine: work, drink, hardly sleep, repeat. Even if there was no immediate threat of being caught, he refrained from recklessly splurging his newfound wealth for the time being.
Yep. Yeah, like the minute that you spend the money, you set them off. If you rob a bank and then you show up and buy a fucking like a fucking Lexus the next day or something, it's just obvious.
I did to maintain a low profile for it.
The car dealer's like, where'd you get the money from? The bank is like, where'd you get the money from? The feds are like, where'd you get the money from? You have to wait for a long time.
A little bit longer, just to be sure. Inwardly, Arno's turmoil persisted. His neurological demons danced on his synapses, making him forget random things temporarily. One day, for example, another severe episode caused his memory of the money's hiding spot to evaporate, driven to near...
Yep. Oh, God, I've been through that before. You completely forget something that you know very, very well because you're just thinking about it too much.
Madness, Arno tore open cushions, disassembled furniture, and pried up floorboards, leaving his apartment in shambles. Only then did he recall that the money was stashed at the workshop. And that was a huge problem, by the way.
Yeah, yep.
Approximately a fortnight following the incident, two impeccably dressed gentlemen paid a visit to the workshop as Arno toiled away in the spray room. He caught sight of them from his peripheral vision as they exchanged pleasantries with Hines before vanishing into his office. As Arno observed the dapper duo's demeanor, a chilling sensation crept up his spine. He felt an icy dread, as if fate itself had reached out and seized him by the throat. One of them spotted a clipboard bearing a police sketch, which prompted Arno to suspect that the situation was less than favorable. Setting his spray gun aside, he secretly approached the conversation to eavesdrop. "The bomb extortion case brings us here," one of the men explained to Hines. "An eyewitness spotted an individual of questionable behavior near this location. Would you care to take a look at the sketch? Do you know anyone bearing resemblance to this man?" Now, years later, Arno would describe this very moment as one of the two scariest events of his entire criminal
I would describe this as one of the scariest events.
career. The pair of policemen stood a mere meters from him and his ill-gotten gains, flaunting his sketched visage to his superior. "Let's have a gander," Hines uttered, followed by a pregnant pause. He scrutinized the image intently, or maybe he had instantly identified Arno's face and was now wrestling with his conscience, weighing their friendship against his loyalty to the law. When Hines finally uttered the words, "Doesn't ring a bell," "Sorry," relief washed over Arno like a torrential downpour, dousing the flames of his fears. I wonder if it just doesn't look like him. It was like that. I assume this is the people at the petrol station, and they only saw him like from a distance, and they didn't know it was him because they had met previously, so they can't have seen him that well. With the customary "give us a call if you remember anything else," the officers departed as swiftly as they had arrived, and only now did Arno realise that his clothes were completely soaked with cold sweat. As soon as he heard the police car driving off, Arno announced his lunch break to his colleagues, stormed toward the petrol station across the street, and bought the first newspaper he could find. Sure enough, the sketch was prominently displayed alongside a corresponding article for context. Apparently, a witness had been alerted by the gunshot, and then observed a suspicious individual running back and forth like a maniac. Clearly him. Luckily, though, this mindful citizen suffered from either poor vision or a faulty memory, as the sketch was hardly accurate. Whoa. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I thought that kind of happened in the middle of nowhere. But, yeah. Well, good. Oh, I'm on this guy's side. Just by saying that, I realise I'm on this guy's side. Oh, there we go. How about that? Among the veterans of this channel, eyewitnesses are sufficiently known for their lacking reliability in general, but this one takes the cake for sure. The sketch was probably worse than having none at all. As a matter of fact, the investigators would later retract the drawing from circulation and publicly declare it a dead end after they'd put several innocent people through the ringer on its basis, adding yet another item to their list of well-documented embarrassments. Looking at the drawing gave Arno a dangerous ego boost. The investigators were chasing after a bearded pumpkin. The remaining risk was negligible, so he made a decision on the spot. It was time to blow the dough. Now, how would you convert a medium-sized fortune into happiness, since Simon is paying his writers— oh no, my battery just ran out.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
Since Simon is paying his writers per word, and it's going to be a 3-hour episode, the same question came up for me. Yeah, it was an expensive one to make. So I dropped some acid, and this is the plan I've settled on. Hire a team of professional skywriters to compose a giant smoke-based Sudoku puzzle right above Berlin and challenge locals to solve it with walkie-talkies, commission a custom waterside filled with cooked spaghetti and marinara sauce that you can slip, slide and slurp your way to the bottom. That sounds gross. Funds an entire gallery of slinky feet sculptures and then display them in an underwater exhibition for scuba diving foot enthusiasts, and the rest I'll probably spend on pointless nonsense. But since Arno was more the down-to-earth type, he instead decided to abscond to the sun-dappled shores of the Philippines, the Emerald Archipelago, that promise the sweet nectar of anonymity and decadence. Yeah, I have to say, like, if you've got all the proceeds of a crime, and there's been this big cash crime that's gone on, and then this poor dude's just like spending all this money in the town, that seems like that's going to draw attention. But if you're just like, yeah, book a flight and just take like a shoebox full of money in your luggage, I mean, hope customs don't go through your luggage, and then just spend it abroad, no one's going to know, right? That seems like quite a good plan.
It's a good plan.
Alongside him, he also invited his boss Hines, who, blissfully ignorant of the money's illicit origins, had been convinced by Arno that a sudden stroke of good luck was responsible for their prepaid all-inclusive trip. What excuse did he use? Like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, my rich aunt died, or I won a scratch card. It could work. A few weeks later, it's still risky. A few weeks later, the two of them boarded a plane to Palawan Island, diving headfirst into a world of reckless hedonism. They gambled with abandon, raced across the island in rented quads, and drank like there was no dawn. Their holiday funds quickly vanished into the haze of laughter and half-remembered merriment. Yet there was a peculiar thrill to this rapid depletion, granting them a sense of invulnerability, as if they were characters in a novel written just for them. But this euphoria was volatile. Arno's mind ebbed and flowed like the tides that surged up the white beaches and retreated just as quickly. At times, he towered above the world, impervious and mighty, and the next breath self-doubt devoured him, and he wondered if going on an unbridled trip was but an ephemeral and hollow victory that led straight back to square one. Surprise Pikachu meme. Right on. Yet for Arno, their journey was not a mere pleasure trip, but a venture with a concealed agenda. The tropical island state served not only as an Eden for sun-seeking tourists, it bore a more complex identity, partially steeped in, you guessed it, crime. Oh, is he going to launder his money there or something? During the late 80s, the Philippines served as a global hotspot. Oh, is he going to... Right on. Yet for Arno, their journey was not a mere pleasure trip, but a venture with a concealed agenda. The tropical island state served not only as an Eden for sun-seeking tourists, it bore a more complex identity, partially steeped in, you guessed it, crime. Oh, is he going to launder his money there or something? During the late 80s, the Philippines served as a global hotspot for the unholy trinity of money laundering, tax evasion, and under-the-table dealings. Yes, he is. This was not only an open secret, but a substantial part of the nation's economic system. On top of that, the lax airline safety protocols of the pre-9/11 era allowed Arno to carry all of his cash on board without anyone checking their luggage. Would they check? I mean, when you go to the airport and your bag goes through the scanner, they're checking for, like, weapons and metal. They're not going to be like, there's a bunch of cash in there, right? That's not what they do. Aren't they more interested on the other side? Like, because there's always those signs when you enter an airport, like, are you carrying more than £10,000 worth of cash? Remember to declare it. Like, they don't care on the way out. It's on the way in. And then they don't scan you. It's just about whether you get pulled over if you go through the red lane or through the green lane. Or however it works. I don't know. I've never been pulled over. I've walked through that green lane many, many times. I don't think at least not in memory, I don't think I've ever been pulled over and had my bag searched for anything.
Nope.
Not that I've ever smuggled anything, but you go through those airports. Like, I imagine the Philippines. I've never been to the Philippines, but I imagine it's one of those countries where you go through and they're like,
Remember, we have the death penalty if you're smuggling drugs.
and even though you have no drugs on you, you're walking through that being like, oh no, don't pull me aside. I don't have any drugs, but I'm slightly scared that what if someone did put drugs in my bag?
Pull yourself together. We can't take you anywhere.
Oh, God. His days on Palawan were therefore punctuated by secret visits to shifty exchange offices where the sanctity of the law was a foreign concept. Here in these shadowy corners of commerce, Arno would trade in his stolen and potentially traceable bills for unblemished ones with a knowing nod and a clandestine handshake. Each transaction was marked by a brokerage fee, a small price to pay for the peace of mind it offered. Other sources, however, claimed that Arno simply bought random stuff in large denominations and kept the clean change, which sounds logical, but not half as interesting. Yeah, wait. Why would you need to do anything dodgy? Just like, say you've got, I don't know, how much did he have? Like €500,000? Just go to one place with €5,000 and change it into Philippine pesetas? Whatever currency they use in the Philippines. And then take all that money and then go to another place and go, hey, I'm going home. I'd like to change these back to euros. And then you change them back to euros. And by the time you're done, you probably lost like, I don't know, 20% or something, probably outrageous. I don't know, 10%. And then you've got clean euros. And then just go round like 100 exchange offices or 200 exchange offices, which I'm sure is possible.
I have your passport, your birth certificate. Oh, here's a photo from our honeymoon.
Boom, done. Why would that seems more logical than risking going to some dodgy place where they could get you in trouble.
I did this, by the way. I kind of messed around with exchanging some dirty money into Canadian loonies. And I did this a lot. Like, I don't know, 20 grand or something? I kind of messed around moving American cash to loonies. And I'm not really fucking proud of this, but I lost 20%, but I did it.
Got a money laundering big brain. Anyway, by the time they boarded their homeward flight, Arno had laundered
I completely spaced that. I actually had to stop because I had stolen $100 worth of Canadian. Like, I saw that my parents were going to Canada to get their supplements, and that there was $100 Canadian cash in the console. And I stole that cash and I turned it into $94 or whatever it was because I had a problem, and I don't even remember what the problem was anymore. But I had a bad problem, and I exchanged their Canadian money, which was kind of fucking crazy. And then I began to understand that dirty money didn't really matter if you live near a border
of his remaining stash. Yet amidst the tumultuous story, there was another pivotal twist during one of the boozy party nights.
Oh my god, I'm not going to get through this, guys. I'm terribly sorry, and it is 4 a.m, so I'm going to stop. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I love you guys, and somebody subbed, huh? Oh, Intel FPS. Let's go, Skycat. Thank you for the sub. Yeah, let's send a sub to Whisper. No, I want you to actually. Oh, there we go. I want you to actually show me the chat. Yes, and we'll go to Intel. Thank you. I'm gonna load streams in the YouTube. Thank you so much, Intel. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Sorry I didn't acknowledge recording. Yeah. Ferrari. Oh, nice. Nope, you didn't whisper. It's okay. I don't need to get back here. I'm just going to stop. So thank you so much. I'm going to bed now, guys. Just a reminder, you've been watching Skycat Live. This session was recorded in its entirety, and it will be placed on my YouTube in the morning. Or, sorry, it's going on my YouTube right now, actually. But it'll be about a day before it shows up. And just a reminder, you've been watching Skycat Live. I'm going to go to bed. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cast face to donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Thank you for being with me today, and thank you for paying attention to me. I love you guys. Take care. Have a good day. Love you guys. Bye.